embracing that voice, learning how to access the fullness of that voice, the full, powerful resonance and presence and power of that voice is in your hands to affect and change the world in a way only you can do.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. My new best friend, Mannette, is here with us today, and we are going to talk about your voice. I know when I first listened to my voice on a recorder, I thought it was awful. Like, I don't want to hear this. But did you know your voice has power? Did you know that your voice is exactly what it's supposed to be for you? And Mannette's going to help us grasp the power of our voice and use it for the changes we want. But before we get started, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. When we come back, Mannette, help me please grasp my voice. We'll be right back.
This is Adam Adams, co-founder of Optimized LLC, where we take the guesswork out of your health. If you're feeling exhausted, struggling with weight, or just not feeling yourself anymore, your hormones might be the problem. And that's why we test, not guess. Analyzing your blood work to pinpoint exactly what's holding you back. At Optimized LLC, we help you rebalance your hormones, boost energy, and reclaim your life. Don't settle for normal. Aim for optimized. Just go to optimized.com to book your free introductory coaching call. It's a free call to help you take the first step toward feeling your best.
All right, Mannette, I am really excited for this. We're here at Potapalooza, and the information about you is in the show notes. So let's get started, because I really want to know how to find the power and use my voice for the change that I really want to make.
So first, we have to learn to appreciate, to accept, and to trust our voice and ourselves. Now, one of the things that happens to many women, particularly, is that we are taught that our voices are not really acceptable. And we are trained to modify the voices with which we emerged into this world. When you emerged into the world with a big wah, right? It sent chills through everyone nearby that heard it. This was your voice. I like to say the voice that you were born to bring, that for the world you were born to change. But what has happened to us over time is that we develop habits in how we use our voice, both how we see our voice and how we see ourselves. Because your voice arises from your entire body. You might see, this is my voice studio. People say, it looks like a yoga studio. Indeed, it does. Because first thing we have to do to access the full power of our voice is to open to our breath and open to our bodies from which your breath gives you life and gives life to your voice.
So breath is important along with my voice.
Your breath creates, it's the source, it's the fountain of your voice. And when we restrict our breath, we restrict the voice. I'm going to tell you a little story. I was about 4 years old. Whatever exuberant, passionate way I was using my voice, what I remember very clearly are the words of my mother, Mannette Antill, lower your voice. Now, the message is given to many children, but particularly to girls. And I remember the fierce, piercing glare in those eyes. And my voice, my breath stopped in my throat, right? When my body braced, right? We feel in our bodies before we ever really fully comprehend the words, what is coming to us. And when we pull this down, we limit the power and the access we have to our voice. Here's the other thing I did. I needed my connection to my mother, right? She was my safe space. And so I reached out and I grabbed my father's humor. Now, he wasn't always safe, but he was very funny and it worked on her. And so I said, Is this low enough, mother? And those eyes opened again. And she, yes. But this is where my voice went. Now I'm wondering if you can hear the difference. This was my voice, my lowered, acceptable, good, nice little girl voice that would not offend or not. My mother told me people don't like pushy women, not even other women. You needed to modulate your voice. You had to have a kind voice, a sweet voice, right? A good girl voice. It's a message that's really universal, often to all of us. It's the voice that I used when in college, in high school, I did debate, I did singing, I did acting, but then I could bring my voice out a little more powerfully because it was okay, right? But I still kept and pushed this voice. I took this voice with me to law school. I became a lawyer. I was a prosecutor. I became a corporate lawyer. I had my own practice. I became a media spokesperson, but with a microphone, right? With this nice, sweet, good girl voice. And then circumstances changed in my life. I had neurodivergent children. I had to stay home for a while with them. I became an advocate for them, but it reawakened all the joy I had of acting and expressing myself creatively. And so I went back to school to study theater. And when I did, an acting teacher, my first acting teacher, said, Mannette, you're really talented, but we keep losing your voice. Because also when I became very emotional, my voice would even get lowered. Hear that?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be careful how you use your voice. So I had to go into Act 2, Voice 10A, where I had to learn to bring my voice alive. I had to learn to bring my voice to its full, resonant, powerful ability to communicate, to touch, to move, to inspire. I will tell you, there's a Morgan Freeman, who doesn't want Morgan Freeman's voice, right? And he's interviewed and says, how did you get your voice? And he said, I got it from my acting teacher at Los Angeles Community College. But then he goes back to say, because he realizes what he had to do was rediscover his voice. He said he learned habits he was using that did not serve his voice and habits that he could learn that did serve his voice. And what's interesting is when you learn to fully express, have the power and full openness and resonance of your voice, it changes how you see yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Changes how you move and react in the world, right? So sometimes I tell people, we're going to work on your voice. You have to warn people because they're going to see differences, not just in your voice, but in how you touch, how you reach out, how you impact. So it's finding that full, powerful, resonant voice that has to come from an open, available body. We hold in our feelings, we hold in our emotions. And the actual physiological, scientific proof is we think thoughts, but we feel our emotions in our bodies. We say that touched my heart. Imagine something you see that touched my heart. If you feel here, you can actually feel it. You feel this movement here. It touched my heart. That's why we say that. Or we say, oh, that gave me butterflies in my stomach, right? Like we're nervous. Are we excited, right? Are we a little flirty maybe? Are we laugh? It's a bubbly, radiant feeling here in our middle. Or we say, that got me in the gut. Oh, right? You feel it down here. That got me in the gut. Meryl Streep says she acts from her gut. This is where we feel power. This is where we feel, oh. And if you're not open, if you're not aware of, if you're not connected to those feelings, you can't freely express it.
So how do I know which one's my real voice? I remember when I first started podcasting, my son would say, Mom, you're using your fake voice again. I was like, how do I know which one's real?
My children will say, Emma, don't talk to me with the lawyer voice. But we have, and it's okay, we have different ways of expressing. We have different places to go to fully express where we are now in the present moment. It's not a fake voice. We don't have just one voice. And particularly if we've been using a voice that's perhaps less powerful or less full than the voice that we're used to, people can be kind of, what? What is that? Right? But that's where we need to talk to them, that we are exploring all of who we are. And all of who we are involves our voice, affects our voice, is affected by our voice and with your voice. We say to have a voice is have an opportunity to let our voice be heard, but it's also to have a voice means to have the full connection to yourself and to others that bring that voice to them. I will just tell you just a little bit of an anatomy lesson actually about the breath. Before you speak and you think about it, you know the answer. You're taking a breath, right? It's because what happens before you speak, you actually take in a little breath, then your brain tells these vocal folds, vocal cords who rest right here on top of your windpipe, tells them to bring in a breath and then close. Well, the breath has to come out. So it starts to vibrate. The breath pushes up and starts vibrating the vocal cords. Your vocal cords are about the size of your thumbnail. They create sound waves. These sound waves move up and they start bouncing against these hard surfaces in your body, your hard palate, your cheeks, your jaw, your head. They go out, they start bouncing against the surfaces around you, and they bounce into your listener. They actually vibrate the bony structures of your listener's body. Eventually, the little bones in their ears, their brain turns into sound. When you speak to someone, you are touching them with the sound waves that were caused by your breath in your body that touch them physically. We are connected.
That is, I love that thought because, when they say reach out and touch somebody and I just like, we're not even close to them. But you're so right that it is that vibration does touch them or they wouldn't be hearing us because that's what's required for hearing.
Even people who are deaf, who have the limited capacity to translate those vibrations into sound, they feel vibration. This is where when you watch The Miracle Worker and Helen Keller is taught to speak by feeling the vibration of her sound in her hand. People who are deaf, can hear music in the sense that they feel the vibrations in their bodies. Vibration, and of course now there's quantum physics that talk about how all our vibrations are all connected and how we affect each other and we affect the actual physical world by the vibrations that we emit. It's all vibration, but we have to grasp it. We have to own it. We have to be willing to embrace it, grasp it, as you said, to the full power of all we have to be and all we can express to the world.
So it's okay to sound a little different on your podcast versus when you're talking in the front room, versus when you're in a meeting room with all the executives, versus when you're at dinner with your friends, because there's a different feeling behind the words. And it's okay to express that.
What you want to do is to say some of the speaking techniques that are taught, how to that words should go up and be long. We have the pitch, pace, tone, volume, and melody that we're taught. We need pitch to be up and down. We need pace to be fast and slow. We need volume to be high and loud. We need our tone to be full or maybe a little breathy. And it creates melody. And then we want to move in a way that works. And we use gestures and we use expressions. Well, what we can learn is those things do make a difference. But if you will allow yourself to trust your own intention, your own desire to touch, if you learn through use of your body, awareness of your emotions, those things actually will rise spontaneously to meet your intention. And you can be freed, I say, moving from performance to presence, from fear to freedom, and from control to connection. You have less need to control and manipulate and force. You can allow and trust that voice to rise fast or slow or high or low to meet your intention. As you play, you learn to explore and play with your voice. You learn to explore and play with sound. We play with vowels. We play with consonants. We play with tone. We move around the room. We yawn. Yawning will fill your voice like nothing else. Make your body yawn, make your mouth yawn. opens this whole space. And we can learn to play and learn to trust as we play with childlike curiosity. That's how children learn, right? To allow ourselves to play and explore and be playful and open in our ability to communicate and connect.
My husband's one that when we're watching a show and we're at home, he doesn't do this at the movie theater, thank you. But he'll hear one of those unique voices and he always tries it on. I got to try that. And so sometimes I'll hear the voice. I go, I know it's coming. So I'll look over at him like, it's okay. But how fun it is to play with your voice.
And it's interesting what actors particularly have to learn how to do, and they have to spend much longer to do that, and both to find the power and the grasp their own voice, and they have to learn how to switch that voice perhaps to someone else's. But it doesn't work if they don't create the full resonance and power of that communication. So even if you have a little bit of a nasal voice, right, for your character, or you have a little breathy voice for another character, or kind of a low, gravelly voice for another character. If you don't actually at the same time learn how to keep that sound resonant, full, and able to communicate, then you end up losing your audience. And so you have to learn to take and go with the challenges that might come up. Maybe you didn't have such a good day, but you got to have that play. You learn to be able to bring it up and trust and be connected to yourself and your voice.
I love it. Thank you so much, Mannette, for sharing all this information. It is definitely a unique topic we haven't covered and a very powerful one to embrace your voice in all of its ranges and to be it. I love it. Thank you so much. Friend Mannette and I, wait. Before we go there, tell us a little bit about yourself. Maybe a friend wants to get a hold of you.
So my website is Your Voice Connection. That's it, yourvoiceconnection.com. And there you can find a little bit more about me. You can find out my philosophy, the physiology of your voice and how and why and how you might access it. You'll find there courses that are coming up, workshops that are coming up. There's one coming up March 27th, a workshop, a 3-hour workshop, either Monday or Friday or Saturday, March 27th and 28th. And I'm starting a new course April 13th. But I open them from various times, and all that information when workshops are opening or courses are opening, it's all there in the website.
Sounds great. And that website link is in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us today. Friend, Mannette and I are not licensed medical or mental professionals. We're not here for medical advice. Please follow your doctor's advice. And we just want to help you down your path to be the best you can be, even if it's with your voice. So stay tuned for the next episode and have a beautiful day.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Laura Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.